All right.
Hello, sir.
How are
Can you
you?
hear me?
Yeah, I
I'm
can
good.
hear you.
I'm good.
Thank
How
you
have you
for
been?
being here, man. I'm cool. I'm cool.
Thank you too.
Wow.
Thank
How's
you.
Naija?
Niger Day. Well, okay.
Yeah. You are in
All
Lagos?
right. No, I live in Ibadan. I left
Oh,
Lagos some years ago, maybe 2014 or so.
okay. Okay. Ibadan. Where in Ibadan?
Do you know Akubo?
I know. See, I don't
Okay,
really know. I don't
I know
really,
you know Bodija. All those
yes,
by Bodija
Bodija,
and
yes. That's why my friends lived.
so I
Yeah.
live in Ibadan. Ibadan is just about 2 hours away
Yeah, of course. Of
from
course.
Lagos. So if there's a business in Lagos, I
Yeah.
drive there, do my
Okay.
business, and I'll drive back.
Wow. So how's business in Ibadan? It's a big city.
Yeah,
But see,
yeah.
for me, the last time I went to Ibadan was 2007. I think, yes, that's it. My mother was having a surgery at a
Sick.
university teaching hospital. So yeah, I went there to see her. Yeah. That was when she was alive. She's passed now. Yeah.
So sorry about that.
Yeah. It's gone. It's gone.
So
So
sorry.
so Chidi, we are
Yeah,
here. We are finally here.
yeah,
Uh and there's a reason why we are here, you know. Uh
definitely.
it's interesting when I see you on LinkedIn and I read some of your stuff. I don't read all because unfortunately I have difficulty reading things. So when I come there, I stay there for maybe an hour, just scanning through, trying to get to know what's going on. Yeah. So I saw you and I read some of your stuff, and the way you present your thinking is interesting. It's interesting. Anyway, let's start this way. See, I like my guests to introduce themselves to my audience, and then we go from there. So please tell my audience who you are and what you do.
All right. My name is Chidi Okeke. I'm a salesman by profession. Actually started my career as a salesperson age 17. I sold
Wow.
books. Then I just lost my dad, so the easiest thing to do then was to
Sorry for
sell.
that.
Yeah, and so I sold books. For my academic, so currently I'm managing a region in Southwest Nigeria, about 7 states in Nigeria, managing the business in the region for
Okay.
a company called Just Food. I
Okay.
also have my own consulting outfit where I help businesses solve business development and sales challenges.
Okay.
It's local. We've done a few projects. Academically, I studied history and international relations in the university and in Abia State University, and I did my second degree in international law and diplomacy at the University of Lagos.
Okay.
Had a few other courses in between, some courses in psychology, human resource management. So that's just a few
Mm.
about who I
Wow.
am.
So the bulk of our conversation today is not anything close to what you do for a living. The bulk of our discussion today is going to be around the kind of conversations all of us, most of us Africans have on social media. For us, is on LinkedIn. Okay, but it's more than LinkedIn. All over social media. Say I go to Facebook. and I joined several African focus groups with younger people, okay, age early 20s to 35, most of them. You know, when I'm there, they don't know I'm an old man. Okay, they think I just go there, see what they're doing. I chime in once in a while. But what I've discovered is that most Africans of that age, 20s to 30s, they get most of their news on social media. Okay. And what they talk about mostly is about the West. It's always the West, the West, the West, the West, the West. Okay. And they don't, the way they go on about it is disturbing to me. Okay. Because they don't seem to analyze things properly, and everything they talk about is always negative, negative, negative. Now, that's because most of the news they hear or they read and they talk about is about colonialism. Okay. Now, I know it was important, okay, for us to talk about it, but when we make it a predominant talking point, it's as if we don't have anything else to talk about. We in Africa, we have a lot of challenges that we need to focus on. Okay. And when I see our young people not focusing on any other thing, not even discussing the opportunities around them, but all they talk about is the West, the West, the West. So I want to get your take about this. How do you think it's the impact of talking about it this much is good for us? Let's start that way. What's your take on that?
All right. I think that first and foremost, there's a lot of shift in terms of personal values as it relates to us.
Okay.
First and foremost, one of the impacts of colonialism is to make you feel less about who you are, and feel more about who your oppressor is.
Okay.
You know, I mean, even if you're in a normal relationship and you're in a relationship with somebody who is a narcissist or who is a bully, the side effect of that is always that you always believe less, think less of yourself, and think more of the other person.
Okay.
And that does not necessarily translate to reality.
Yeah.
You know. But my big challenge, however, in addition, this is more like an octopus. It has a lot of different heads.
Tentacles. Yes.
Yes, it has a lot of different heads to it.
Yeah.
So that's one part about the colonial aspect. The other part is that we are too much into instant gratification as a people.
Okay.
If you look at even the older generation, people have let go those basic principles that we all picked up growing up back in the days.
Yeah.
You know, like you are offered a cake or you're given a food to eat, for instance. I know it does not necessarily colorate, but it has a lot of information in that. You're given a food to eat and there's a piece of meat in that food.
Yes.
You know, normally the way we grew up, we were trained to eat the food first,
yeah,
and then eat your meat.
Yes.
And even psychologists even agree that when you see people who were trained that way, they know how to keep the enjoyment first and get the job done first.
Yeah.
Come back to that.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of pop consumption which is affecting the way we think and the way we see life generally. So if we go back to the area of colonialism, we discover that we are dwelling so much on this issue because we all feel like we are the victims. We are victims,
Okay.
of course, but we have refused to call ourselves to a local meeting.
Yeah.
Like if you have a family problem, families call themselves for a meeting and say, okay, you did this, you did that. Okay, can we resolve it? Let's push this in the past and now focus.
Yeah.
On what
On
we
the
have
goal of the family.
Yes, on the goal of the family.
Yeah.
The situation. How do we move past this situation?
Yeah.
Okay, how do we move past this situation? So part of the thing that colonialism has done or imperialism has done is to constantly give the narrative. We've bought into this narrative that we are so helpless, that the guys that colonized us did it on their own, that they have a better culture than ours. So it's more like everything that comes from Africa culturally is
bad or negative.
Is negative.
Yeah.
So we need to begin to challenge. I mean, you made mention of a lot of young people.
Yeah.
A lot of young people getting their information on social media.
Yeah.
So that is why somebody like me, I've decided to play big on the social media to also spar. In boxing is what they call, is it sparring or something like that? To also throw jabs with this fake news or half truths or lies or content without details.
Yeah.
So when people like us are beginning to occupy that space and talk about our own local history and talk about the importance, of studying, of reading, of delayed gratification.
Yeah.
We might not catch the whole buck, but we'll catch a whole lot.
Yes.
And so when I write, most times, I hammer so much on taking responsibility.
Yeah. Like me, like myself. Yeah.
So we have a lot of challenges, but we just have to take it from that point of taking responsibility, delayed gratification, and also putting out content on the social media to challenge some of the half-truths and the lies. So that's how I would attack that question.
Yeah. See, you mentioned something very important: half-truths. See, I will tell you, half-truths are the most difficult to debunk. Okay, because they have some elements of truth. So someone who doesn't know much about it, but he knows, oh, this is true. So they assume, okay, if this is true and I know, then the rest, which I don't know, must be true. And that's so difficult for anybody else to come and start saying, okay, this is true, but this is not true. Well, most people on the space they will find it difficult to believe anything else that anybody says. Now, unfortunately, I've been trying to engage some of our colleagues on LinkedIn who write so many of these stories. Okay. Now, just like I told you, I don't read too well. Okay. I have what we'll call aphasia. Okay. So I don't read too well. So when I read a little bit, I try to engage with the person by talking verbally. Like I called you or you called me and we talked. Okay. That's the way I like to engage, because I can't read a lot of details that people put out. But many of them are not willing to even have a little chat, but they like to write a lot. But if you want to engage them verbally, they are very reluctant. I talked to some other people online, and they say, hey, what they see and think is that they may not be the people actually penning all these stories.
I get that. So
Okay.
yeah, like you can buy a content writer.
Yeah. So they are not willing to engage you verbally, because the post they put out there, is not theirs. Okay. Now, when I heard that, I said, wow, okay, that may be true, but it's a very big deal if people get content writers to write all these kind of details and put out. Why would they do that? Okay. Why would they deliberately do that? What do you think?
Well, I think that you see, brings us back to the basics, and I could argue with some people, and my argument might not really hold, because sometimes majority tends to win every argument.
Yeah,
like even in democracy,
Yeah.
But
and
the
mob.
you could feel yes, you could feel a few other guys who operate with you in that same frequency. And I tell people, it's a question of content and container. A lot of people prefer to put emphasis on the container, while others put a lot of work on the content.
Yeah.
Okay. Some people just like to brand themselves. You like to put so much work on how they appear.
Yeah.
Okay. And while a whole lot of people put a lot of work on who they are, what they consume.
Yeah.
Quality of what they consume. So when an opportunity comes like this, they can engage with anybody. I mean, I can engage with anybody.
Anybody. Yeah.
Anybody from any part of the world. I'm not worried. I'm not afraid. We spar, we exchange ideas, and we feel better. But I think it's just about the 21st century where we're so much in a hurry. We just want to brand. We just want to look good on the outside, but nothing inside. And I tell you for free, this post that series that I did about slave trade, colonialism, and all of that got a lot of very wealthy men coming into my DM. And we engaged quite well.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are not guys in my socially. We're not in the same cardia socially.
Yeah.
Like a one-time senator jumped into my DM to say, man, I read all your posts and I like that. Let's keep it going. A whole lot of guys. But it shows you where the shift is. People are so much into delayed gratification, into instant gratification, like I said the other time, as against delayed gratification.
Well, see, I get the instant
gratification.
I see. I have difficulty with words, so I understand that, but I don't understand people getting writers to write what they know they can't personally defend.
I mean, one guy that I follow, I've forgotten his name. He's into personal growth like this.
Yeah.
He says that lies sell in business, in relationships.
Yeah, but my issue is this: all of us are Africans, okay, and I want to believe that we all are eager to see Africa progress. Okay, so putting out things you cannot personally defend, and you put it out in your name, and you're not willing to engage to defend it. Why would you do that?
It doesn't speak well, really.
Yeah.
It doesn't speak well. And I think most people who do this thing hide under the excuse that they are busy they cannot.
Well,
they need a
well,
system.
they can't say they are busy because they are always posting. Okay, they post multiple times a day, so they can't say that they are busy because they're always there. Okay, pushing out content multiple times a day. Okay, so anytime I log in, I see a new post from them. But when I try to engage them, I mean, just for 5 minutes, 10 minutes discussion, they back out. So that's when
it's a business. We have copywriters, people who write. Is it copywriters they call them? They just write. So
that's good. That's good. You can have copywriters do the donkey work for you, but you can't be getting copywriters to write things and post them in your name, things you
can't defend it.
Cannot defend. That means you don't actually believe in it.
I get the point.
Okay.
I get the point, but I mean that's it. But me, I write all my content myself. Yeah. I write all my content every day. I mean,
anyway,
it's that way.
Anyway, let's leave that. So, tell me. We talk about this colonialism. Okay. In your view, is colonialism the main reason why Africa is currently behind?
Well, it depends on how I would attack that. First and foremost, I think that a lot of officially in paper, you know, some countries ended colonialism in Africa in the 90s, maybe Namibia and the rest of them. But the system of repatriation, the system of moving raw materials, you know, and bringing back finished goods, the system of capital flights, you know, taking our money to Europe, the system of human brain drain, they call it brain drain.
Yeah.
It's still very much, you know, very active. But that's one side of it. The second side is that Africa is not the only continent that was colonized by the Europeans. And as I tried to lay that emphasis the other time,
yeah,
even England or the UK,
yeah,
you know, they were also colonized by
England. Scotland was not. Yes, England.
Yes, England. Thank you. England was colonized by
the Romans.
By the Romans.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes early 40s AD or so.
Yeah.
And these guys wound up themselves, you know,
for almost 500 years.
Yes, for a long time.
Yeah.
For a really long time. you know, for a really long time. And they were able to turn that into a blessing by galvanizing themselves and fighting back. But you also must also remember that sometimes around 700 AD as well, you had Africans that they call the Africans that went to colonize Spain and Portugal.
Oh, the Moors, yes.
The Moors, you know.
Yep.
That came to colonize and
Spain,
also did colonize Spain and Portugal.
The southern part of Spain, yes.
Also did colonize them for a good number of years, almost 700 years.
Yeah, for a long time. Yeah.
For a long time, until they had to galvanize themselves.
Yeah.
And then push them out. In fact, there's also been rumored as well that even Scotland and England was at one time under the rule of a black man.
Well, see, in the Roman Empire, okay, there were different peoples who are citizens. Okay, I think the Romans had at least, I think, 2 black emperors. I think the one who lived in England. His name is SC. I can't remember. Yeah, Yeah. So they had a black emperor. Yes.
You had a lot. You had lots of black kings who ruled across.
Yeah.
Europe from 700 AD to about 14 AD. So you also had that long reign of colonialism, taking place across Europe. But that's not even all. Up to 1945, China was still under Imperial Japan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole lot of other Asian countries were under one form of colonialism or the other.
Yeah, that's true.
So the answer is yes, and the answer is no.
Okay.
Yes, being that the structure that colonialism brought and made us feel like they are the big brothers and we are the younger brothers is still so much intact, and that system is still operational. We've not found a way of asserting ourselves, rebuilding from the ruins. We're still holding on to that excuse that they came to our country, they plundered us, they disorganized our local structure, and did all of that. So that system is still on even till now, because we've not been able to develop our own system. We've not been able to develop our own economic order or our own local money where we keep our own reserves, for instance. We've not even developed our mentality as a people. We're not even proud of our color or of our heritage or of our history. We don't even believe in ourselves that we can even do these things ourselves and survive without the West.
Yeah.
So that is, yes, it is a part of it. But the other side of it is that other countries have moved past it.
Yep.
They've accepted they've accepted that
the reality
that it has happened, and it's time to forge ahead.
Yeah.
All right. And so you have countries like China leading the pack for the new economic order, for instance.
Yeah.
You can imagine a country like China. I mean, I used to remember us watching Chinese films those days.
Yeah.
They used to produce
in the 80s, yes.
Content. Mm-hmm. Yes, they used to produce really poor content, But you can't have that now because Chinese have really grown. You can have the likes of Alibaba, for instance, challenging American Amazon.
Yeah.
So you have what they call the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. That's also gradually building and has like 9 members, including India, Pakistan, Russia, and all of that. And they contain 40% of the world's population.
Yeah.
Putting their resources together to challenge the hegemony of the Bretton Woods economic order. When I'm talking about the IMF and the World Banks and the rest of that. So yes and no, but I believe that Africans, we've just decided not to do the difficult job.
Okay.
And so it's easy to hold on to our very bad, and I even believe that the colonialism and slave trade and all of that has inflicted a lot of distorts in our self-esteem. We've lost our self-esteem, So why I refuse to accept completely that colonialism is a sole cause, because I know it has its impacts.
Impact, yes.
Psychologically, culturally, and now economically. But why I said no is because we also have other parts of the world that went through the same process.
Yeah.
And they are finding their way out of this doldrum. They are finding their way out of this disaster.
Yeah.
So yes and no. Yes, because it did affect our self-esteem culturally, psychologically, and the rest of them. No, because I think that we should have called ourselves again to a meeting to say this thing has happened. What did we learn?
Yeah.
What are we supposed to do to outgrow this?
Yeah.
But we're just holding on. We're looking for who to blame, and that's quite unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, I get that. And I think I think one of the things that we don't talk about that are actually hindering our progress is our diversity. Africa is so diverse. Let's let's even just use our country, Nigeria. We have up to 300 languages and dialects. I mean, so that's about that number of ethnic groups in that country. So because of that, because unfortunately, most of us will gravitate to people of our ethnic group when strong thing is happening, when serious issues are discussed, people easily gravitate to their ethnic groups. And it's difficult to work together in a sustainable manner to make things happen. I think, see, I may be wrong, but I think this is something we actually need to look at. Okay. Our diversity is a hindrance. Diversity, ethnic diversity, language diversity is a hindrance for collaboration. You see, if you look at all the countries that are progressing, both in Europe, Asia, they have a large proportion of their citizens of the same ethnic identity.
Nationality.
Yeah.
Or ethnic identity.
Okay. Yes, they might have a few minorities, but they have a dominant group. Okay. Now, am I saying get rid of the smaller group? No. But we need to sit down and talk about these things. Because until we talk about these things, then we can create the structures that will ensure that every group is taken care of. Okay. Because when the difficult times come, we easily gravitate to our ethnic groups. Okay. And that's not good for us to build any sustainable society. What do you think?
I think I tried. I also attempted to do a content on these things, and I also like to challenge you to probably find time to do a bit of a research.
Yeah.
It's difficult, really, because I've had this kind of argument, especially when it comes to people who are clamoring for the Biafran state.
No, I'm not on that part.
Yes, I'm just coming. I'm just trying to make a point.
Okay.
You're right when you say that the diversity is a problem for us, because for us to be able to move past this, we need to unite.
Yeah.
We need to grow past this caveman mentality, because resorting or turning to your ethnic nationality or identity when there's a crisis is more of a caveman mentality.
Yeah.
But we've left the cave long time ago, where COVID, once COVID enters Nigeria, it affects everybody. It doesn't care. It doesn't care whether you are Igbo, Hausa, Ishikiri, or whatever. When you're driving on the express and there are bandits or terrorists, don't give two hoots about where you're from.
Yeah.
You're going down. They kidnap you or you're going down. So yes, I agree that we have that issue, which is the caveman mentality. However, I've also tried to challenge it in a couple of other content that we need to look beyond that.
Yes.
Because if you look at countries like the United States, United States is also very diverse.
Yeah,
You have
but,
Irish
but
American.
see, but they from the beginning they created the structure that takes care of that. Okay.
Okay, let's even go to France.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were trying to use the example of France.
Yes. So I was trying to say that you have a lot of history in Europe, in Latin America,
yeah,
in Asia, where you have a lot of ethnic diversity. People who are not from the same linguistic background.
Yeah.
Coming together.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you like, even in England, you have England is a coming together of different Germanic groups. And in France, you also had that different. It's more like a melting point also of people from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And they had to do a lot of back and forth with wars and different kinds of conflicts.
Yeah, right. See, the thing, Europe, they have done the mergers over time. Okay. Now, assuming Africa wasn't colonized.
Yes.
That's what we needed to do. Okay. To merge a small groups into a bigger group. Okay.
It was happening.
Yeah, it was happening, but it takes time. It takes time.
It's actually happening.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we'll still be doing it because we have a very broad.
I mean, you had the Mali Empire, you had the Songhai Empire.
Yeah.
Before Europe, eventually came
in. Yeah,
Africa.
That's true.
But that notwithstanding, you also had America was also colonized. You were colonized by England. You have India. They were also colonized. And India is a melting point of diverse cultural and religious groups.
Yes, but then they have a dominant group.
Well, they have just like Nigeria. They have 3 to 4 major
big groups.
Which the Hindu, the Hindu tend to be like the first.
Yeah.
All right. But they also have two other big groups. I can't remember the names now. But my point is that whatever the situation is, we found ourselves here. Yeah. And we need to keep talking about the what's the word? The unity that the geography has brought us into.
Yeah.
All right. And I like telling people, for instance, now I live in Ibadan and my neighbors are Yoruba speaking Nigerians. Let me not say Yorubas, Yoruba speaking Nigerians. Yeah. The closest of my family member lives 2 to 3 hours, in fact, 4 hours away from this place in Lagos. Yeah. And so there was this day I traveled. Well, not really I traveled. I was working in Lagos then, but my family was in Ibadan. And my daughter had epilepsy. Ooh. Like she was struggling for her life. I was not around like this kind of night. They called me. I was completely helpless. Yeah. Wow. It took my neighbor, who is Yoruba speaking, me, I'm Igbo speaking. Yeah. To jump in and to rescue, to take my daughter to the hospital to rescue my daughter. That is the beauty of the diversity that we failed to exploit. Right? So who is now my neighbor? Who is now my tribesman? Yeah. Is it the guy who speaks my language, who is 4 hours away? Or is it the guy who speaks a different language, who is just 30 seconds away from me?
Mm.
So this issue, I think, is a conversation that we need to constantly have to disabuse our mind from that caveman mentality. See, we passed that era.
Yeah.
We passed it. There's nothing we can do. We speak the same language, means nothing, really.
Exactly.
We share the same geographical space, means everything.
Yep, I agree.
You know, so we need to start talking to ourselves to outgrow this primordial sentiment as Africans. Remember that when Europeans came, they did what they call divide and rule. And even some and even some organizations do that. Even some organizations do that amongst their employees. They go right there and split them in the middle. So while they're at war with themselves, they forget to cooperate for their common existence.
Yeah.
So Nigeria is a new identity, probably given in 1914. Right? And by virtue of Nigeria, other linguistic groups should not die, but should submerge under the bigger framework.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, I will tell you that one is going to be difficult. Okay.
Well, it's arguable. Yes, arguable difficult.
It's going to be difficult,
but it still comes back to asking ourselves the honest truth. Sometimes it could be painful because you don't want to accept certain realities.
Yeah.
You know, but it is the reality. My father died. I refused to accept it until the day I saw him, you know, go down, and then he now done. Now, why I'm saying that is that for us, I mean, I listened to one professor make this same analogy. Africans must begin to accept the fact that we are all Africans.
Yeah.
You know, Nigerians must come to the realization that we're all Nigerians. If this country sings, everybody sings. Sings, everybody sings.
Yeah.
So what do we now do to survive? Europeans are doing that.
Yeah.
After the war, they sat down and said, how do we ensure that
it doesn't happen again?
It doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Or how do we ensure that we're on top of our game? As we speak, I'm not sure if England has any deposit of gold.
And well, I don't know.
That's why I think
they do.
Okay, but countries like Zimbabwe and other African countries like Congo have gold. They have coal-beds. They have good natural resources that the future actually looks up to.
Yes.
But because of the division
if they get their act together.
Yes, but because of the division that we have, the US, France, UK, China, Russia are taking advantage of this division.
Yeah.
So do we still hold on to sentiments that no longer serve us? Or do we now say, you know what, let's just throw away this thing and then come together? I think that's where the issue of unity comes in.
See, I will tell you, I recently got to hear about a 14th century scholar and politician, Ibn Khaldun. He was born in, I think, Tunisia, and he was very popular Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt in the 14th century. He served several kings, you know, across the Arab region, you know, of Africa. Then he coined this thing Asabia. Okay. Social cohesion. Okay. See, so Asabia is the thing that bounds us. We think this person speaks my language, so he's my tribe, and when things go bad around him. Okay. So the point is this: we need to find a structure that we have a sabia with people around us, not based on ethnicity.
Right.
Okay. We see that's what America has. Okay. Although their culture wars is breaking it. Okay. But that's what they've had for over 200 years. Okay. So we need to find a structure that will bind us, that will look up to this is us. Because I will tell you, me and you were Nigerians. Do you have something? Do we have something that will say this is what a Nigerian is?
Well, I think that we could have if we had leaders.
Well, but the point is that we don't have it.
In reality, we don't.
Yes, we don't. Okay, we don't have it. But if I go anywhere in the world and I see a person from Kano, Sokoto, Maiduguri, hey, he's Nigerian. I'm Nigerian. We're born, okay, but we don't have anything concrete to say you are Nigerian, I'm Nigerian, you know. So this is what I think.
Maybe our jollof rice and our pidgin might be the closest.
Well, we like our jollof rice, but it's not strong enough.
I mean, you could argue that firmly, you know, when we are in the middle of the Japa season. I know you know what Japa means.
Well, see all these new slangs that I'm lost.
so Japa is just the Nigerian way of traveling out of the country.
Okay. Oh, okay. Japa. Okay.
Japa. So we are in the thick of it now, and we have a lot of Nigerians traveling. And somebody did make an argument, which I agree with him, that when you look at other people from other countries, Japa to maybe US or Europe, anywhere else, their purpose is to go there, make money, come back. But that's not the same for a Nigerian.
Yep.
And that's a big question mark. Like you said, what's the Sabia?
Yeah.
Right?
Asabia. Yeah.
Asabia. What is the Asabia?
Yeah.
You have most of these multinationals in China. You know, like I did mention the Alibaba, you have a few of them that are really doing well in China.
Yeah.
The guys occupying the chief executive officer position, chief operating officer position, chief financial officer positions are locals.
Yeah. Many of them went to school in America and came back to China.
But you know our biggest problem is still that of cultural colonialism. Believe me, this is where we have our problem. We've lost ourselves trying to be like the white man. We've lost ourselves seeing the white man's culture, the white man's products, the white man's accent being superior, you know, to ours. That's where the critical problem is. You know, that's where the critical problem is. And so this whole idea of colonialism has made us, like I said earlier, has made us to lose our self-esteem. Because once you have your self-esteem, let's leave self-esteem aside, once you understand yourself, self-concept, you know your history, you know who you want to be like, or your expectation you have of yourself, you know how you look, you know how you feel, you know you're comfortable in your own skin. It's difficult for anybody to drift you, to tell you cock and bull, you know, because you know yourself.
Yeah. See,
so
this is what you said. If you understand your history, the point is this: how many of us know our history? how many of us can tell you, oh, I know this about my grandfather and my great grandfather. See, we don't know many things about us, about our families. Okay, so if you don't know things about your family, your direct ancestors, how would you be interested in even knowing your country's
history,
your continent's history?
And I think that the beginning of this pardon me, as Blau, what did you call
Asabia.
it? Asabia is going back to our history, and I think that a lot of our history as Black people or as Africans have been distorted. It takes a lot of work to dig back, and that's why I do not want to accept the narrative that's why I don't want to accept the narrative that the Europeans single-handedly overpowered our ancestors.
Okay.
Because that is not empowering. That is very disempowering. So if I'm to teach history to the kids, I am going to play it out both ends.
Okay.
This is what the Europeans did. This is what our ancestors did.
Of course, yeah. That's the right way to do it.
So we all have that sense of responsibility and power, because the history, the way it's being told, or the way we are all defending it, sounds like we are all incapable.
Well, see, now I don't believe, because in the first place, Europeans didn't come to Africa to conquer us. They came to trade.
They came for business.
Yeah, they came for business, and they did business for centuries. After they abolished slave trade.
Yes.
They now decided, okay, this is what we want to do. Unfortunately, because of the slave trade and the devastation it caused, because of the most of the groups were always fighting themselves, were not united to fight back, and then through the centuries, while the slave trade was going on, the medical profession was coming up with medicine that now allows the Europeans to go inland, because before, if they go inland, most of them would not survive, But by then, they have made a medicine that can help them survive.
The discovery of quinine.
Yeah. So yes, by the time they finally decide to colonize, we're not in the position to fight back strongly.
Because we've weakened our workforce.
Yeah, we have.
We've weakened our workforce.
We are and again, like you said, they have the gun. Okay.
Sorry?
They had the gun.
They had the gun.
Okay. Yes, they sold some to us, but they sold us some, but they had more. Just like the people who colonized North America, they sold some of the guns to the Red Indians, but not enough. So yeah. See, it's important to have these discussions, because some people think because I disagree, or you disagree with some of these things they say, that we have been captured by the white man, See, they don't know that.
Someone even said I was in the US. That's why I was talking trash.
Okay. see, like I just told you, I know my grandfather, my great grandfather. I know all these people. Okay.
You know
I was lucky, okay, to be born when they were still alive. Okay. And I sat down under their feet, listening to stories. Okay. And my father, as his historian and a teacher, he told so many beautiful stories. You know, as a young person, I see we used to attend all the annual festivals in my village. So I'm very, very versed in those things, you know. So yes, but I also like critical thinking. Okay. And that's one area that a lot of our young people lack. Okay. They don't know how to think. Okay. So they don't know how to think critically, and they don't like intellectual debates. Now, if we don't engage in this kind of mental banter, where are we going? You know, where are we going? If we can, somebody says something that will make us, wait a minute, let me think about that. And you come up.
Let me push back. Let me push back on that.
See, we don't engage in those things. Okay. Many of us just consume rhetoric and we pour it out. And we can't even think deeper on those things. So where are we going if we don't engage in intellectual debates, critical thinking? What do you think is a solution?
Well, I like to look at it that we live in an era where, yes, first and foremost, I would like to agree with you that we have a dearth of people who like to engage in intellectual discussions. You know, but it's still a fall-off of our history from slavery as far back as the trans-Saharan slave trade,
okay,
up to colonialism, up to this present era.
Yeah.
You know, before now, Africa used to be known as a hub for intellectuals.
Yeah.
You know, first writing was discovered in Egypt. Papyrus was discovered in Egypt. First university was discovered in Africa as well. Writing was discovered in Africa as well. Critical thinking and all of that. But then you have the dehumanization of the blacks, you know, especially during the slavery period and the colonization period. But shortly after that, this might not really settle down well with you, but shortly after that, you also had religion.
Okay. No, I'm not averse to agree on that point.
But yes, but you know what religion does? Religion is that it gives you a script that you must follow, and you cannot argue. But if you argue, you know, if you argue, it means that you're disobeying, and therefore you have a special place somewhere where you're going to just burn and just keep burning and keep burning.
Chidi, so let me tell you something. Yeah. As a teenager, when my friend told me she was born again, I told her, "Hey, I will look into this," and I started going to fellowship in school, and unfortunately, as a son of teachers, I've learned to ask questions, and I started asking my pastors questions. Okay, I ask questions. I go to different churches and I ask them questions, to the extent that they put me in front of the church with several pastors surrounding me, trying to cast the demon out of me. So that's a little bit of my stories about the church.
Okay. So that's just my comment isn't really to cast aspersion. I'm just saying these are the fallout of what religion has brought to us. It has made us intellectually docile, you know. But and when you begin to throw challenges and critically think, people are bound to see you as somebody who is mentally deranged, or somebody who is a social deviant. But the truth of the matter is that we cannot keep mute. We need to keep bringing this conversation up on board. I listened to a guy called Seth Godin. I think he's a renowned author. He writes a lot of books.
Okay.
And talk about climate change.
Okay.
Now, the debate about climate change is a topic for another day.
Yeah, of course.
You can debate completely different. But there's something I picked from when I logged on to his event. He talked about the importance of debates.
Yeah.
Because I could feel like I know something. But once I bring it up to the open and with every other person critically analyzes that, I'll drop some of what I think I knew and take what other people think, what other people, superior arguments. People bring different arguments to the table, superior argument, and we'll all learn. But the beauty of it all is that when you strike that awareness, it's going to lead to something that will bring about change.
Yeah.
Because we are all influenced by rhetorics, narratives, stories, beliefs. And how do you change a belief system? It is by when you bring out superior arguments.
Yeah.
This is what I think, and this is what the other person thinks, and we all bring it out to the table.
Yeah.
And so one more thing one more issue I think that religion has brought and has really crippled Africa is that there's a whole lot of egotism or egocentrism when it comes to religion, and that means we debating that our God, there's no God like our God. Our God is that God. And you cannot tell me that my belief is wrong.
Yeah.
Because my belief is supreme. It's more superior than your own belief.
Yeah.
So there's no point where we can come down together and really look at things together. So we are not always engaging on that level. But on a final point, look at countries around the world. Look at countries around the world who encourage rigorous academic debates or rigorous academic exercises.
Yeah.
You can see how far they've gone.
Yep.
Even in our personal, you can look at India. Name all the multinationals in the world.
Yeah. CEOs, Indians.
You have an Indian who is a CEO. Look at China. Look at Japan. Look at Thailand. Look at Singapore. Heavily invested in education.
Yep.
Education used to be Africans' heritage. If we go back to when the Moors colonized Europe, Spain, and Portugal, they were the ones that brought education into Europe. And as
I don't know about that.
I'm giving you fact that you can go and verify. Do your research. Don't take my words for it. it took as in fact, as of the time when this southern part of Europe was blossoming, northern part of Europe, they weren't doing so well because they were not so used to education.
No, it took a long time for them.
It took a while before education infiltrated from Southern Europe to Northern Europe.
See, Southern Europe, it goes back to the Mediterranean. Okay, so see that region is very crucial to human civilization.
Is the hub.
See exactly. Okay, northern Africa, Southern Europe, Western Asia is the hub of human civilization.
Now let me tell you, even not the whole of civilization. There's a place in Africa called Nubia.
Yeah.
And when people argue and they give us their folklore, their own stories of how their ethnicity came to be. Some of us just listen because these stories have its own entertaining side and educational side. Right? But most of us down this way, what they call sub-Saharan Africa, most of us in this part of most of us are from that place, that area of Sudan called Nubia, historically. Okay? And there's even an argument that even ancient Egypt, that papyrus was discovered, that education was discovered, that all of these things was discovered. You even had migration, people migrating from Nubia northwards. Okay? But the whole argument that we are having today is that education, critical thinking, public debates are very important. In fact, somebody came to my status and said that Africans are still in the talking stage. I'm like, this is the most important stage.
See, that's something that will never die. You see,
talking is the most important stage.
That talking, I will tell you a little bit about my story. 11 years ago, I had a stroke, and I lost the ability to speak. Okay, I lost ability to speak. I had serious difficulty articulating my thoughts. Okay, see, the way I speak today is learned. This is my normal speaking pattern. Okay, I still struggle to pronounce words. I still struggle to find the right words to express myself. Okay, so this is not my old self. Okay, but what am I saying? I'm speaking today, and I believe the reason why I'm speaking today was that because to me, speaking was life. The ability to speak, to me, is life itself. Okay, so I focused on it. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm still physically disabled. But the ability to speak
is important.
Oh my God. Yeah. So what critical international relationships should Africa maintain for the long-term development?
Well, I think that we already have, first and foremost, we all have to agree that we need to turn inwards first. First things first, we need to turn inwards first.
Why?
Because there's strength in our numbers.
Okay.
And there's strength in unity. And this division is where the crack is. And this is where the West and Asia and other countries, are taking advantage from. Okay, this is where they get the advantage from. And so Africa needs to look inwards. That's what I believe. Those are the critical alliances that we have, we need to form. West Africa needs to have a stronger relationship, and then Africa as a whole also needs to have a stronger relationship. We may also need to start to talk about our own currency, maybe if not together as an African country, as an African continent, but as regional, regions in the continent. So maybe you have the Naira as a common currency holding the West African together.
Well, we have a West African currency. There's a currency that was proposed. Unfortunately, France suddenly used the same currency name for the countries they colonized. Yeah, I think it's called what's it what now? I've forgotten. Anyway, so
France,
there was a currency proposed a few years ago. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that we need to form such alliances. There was a time we had a non-aligned movement. I think it's in the late 60s, early 70s, where so-called third world countries came together not to be a part of the Cold War. Said we are not aligning with the West, we are not aligning with the East. We just want to be on our own. And now you also have that also brewing. You have the West supporting Ukraine. You have the East supporting Russia. And so Africa should be able to still look at where the opportunities lie. But that's why I said first and foremost, we need to come together and realize that this is survival. This is not I am from in Ghana, or I'm from one other ethnicity in South Africa. This is about our survival.
Yeah.
We are the ones providing or producing the rest of the world with raw materials. What can we do? How can we take advantage of this for ourselves? We also need to find means of feeding ourselves, which is very important, as a continent. The same pattern like we discussed is still there. Take our raw materials abroad, add a little value, ship it down here, and sell for a whole lot of money. You have that in oil, you have that in cobalt, what they use to produce battery for electric cars.
Yeah.
What they use to produce phones. They just keep coming to our soil, taking stuff, add a little value, and then come back to sell us to us in very expensive ways, or highly effective, very expensive.
Yeah.
They buy cheap and they resell to us very expensive.
Yeah.
So I think that the alignment that we need to do first is to come together. First and foremost, the small differences within our country, we need to tidy those up. We need to have that social cohesion you talked about, which is very important. And it's not just about of course, it is the government that will make this thing happen. You can see how countries like China and Iran were able to ward off Western influence and found themselves bonding together internally first, finding the social cohesion despite the diversity that they have. So we need a very fair and just political system first, because once you're able to show fairness and justice,
yeah,
then it becomes easy for you to be able to bind people socially. When the system is fair, it becomes very easy for you to say this is going to happen, and everybody will rally around.
Buy into it, okay?
Yes, and these so-called differences that we have will not be there. So we need leadership. We need good leadership. Leaders who would eat last, because all we have in Africa are leaders
eat
who
first.
Feed themselves, yes, first. Feed their children, feed their grandchildren, feed their great-grandchildren just unborn, and feed up to like the 10th generation before they now. So it's easy for foreigners to use those kind of people. But if we have leaders who can build social cohesion through installing just legal and political system. That could be a good way to start.
Yeah.
That could be a good way to start. So I think we need to bind first before we begin to look at alliances outside. Otherwise, we will go outside. They're still going to take advantage of the loopholes and the cracks within us.
Well, I agree that we need to do that. We need to bind ourselves at least. But see, I talk a lot about Africa. Okay, I'm African. For me, I see myself as human first before everything.
Definitely.
Okay. So, and the tools we actually need are already there on the planet in several areas. Several countries have those tools. Okay. For me, I actually think that one mistake we have made since our independence is that we didn't take those tools and then adapt them to our situation. Okay. I say this: our leaders who got us independence, they have done a fantastic job, okay, for getting the independence. But unfortunately, they were not the right people to take us further. And the verdict is there, okay? Because they didn't succeed in taking us further. And see, I don't want us to continue this route, running around in circles. Okay. They are institutions that has worked. Okay. See, all of us are humans. Okay. Any development we see today started somewhere else. Okay. And they finally were completed in one other new place. So so for us, all we need to do is go to that place, take that thing, look at it, and adapt it.
And replicate, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel in any place.
At all.
Okay. We don't need to reinvent the wheel in any place. Okay. We just need to take those structures. Well, for us, for me, I think what is that cohesion that we don't have. Okay. So yes, putting the right legal framework, that tells us I will be fairly treated in my personal life, in my business, in everything I do. Once we have the right legal framework for things, then we can all go out and start planning a trade.
So we begin to believe in
the
social cohesion, the entity called Nigeria.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, I also believe that we need to adopt that non-aligned status again. Okay, because all this rhetoric is coming from the West, East. There are distractions. Okay, and unfortunately, like they say, when two powerful elephants fight, the ground will suffer. Okay, and unfortunately, we and other developing countries are the ground. so, so we don't want to.
And you know that I like, you know, Africa, in my opinion, can never be broke.
Okay, we can't actually. Yes, we can't, because we have the natural resources. But unfortunately, natural resources is not wealth.
It's not.
Okay, wealth is here.
Human, yes.
Is here.
Okay, human capital.
Okay, wealth is here.
Human capital, and it really starts with the leadership. You know, like we've said all evening. Get us a legal framework that speaks justice.
That's it.
Live it.
And that's, I'll tell you, that's all we need.
Just do it and go to bed.
Go to bed. Okay. we will do every other thing. Yeah.
Get us the framework, a legal framework that is just. Go to bed.
Okay.
Because the unity that you are crying, the patriotism that you are crying, the jackpine that you are talking about,
yeah,
it automatically ceases.
Yeah. When we get the right framework, legal framework.
Yes. If I commit a crime and the son of Atiku Abubakar commits the same crime,
the same punishment.
And will receive the same punishment. Fair. All this bickering, banditry, corruption, division, I'm Igbo, I'm Yoruba, I'm ethnicity, it will end.
Yeah.
You know, and then people will begin to look inwards to say, how can we do this thing? We have very intelligent people.
Yeah. When you know, if you start a business, you get a partner that cheats,
and the partner will not cheat you.
You take them to court, you get the fair judgment. That's
Finish.
it. That's it. That's all we need.
That's it.
Okay.
You know, you can't just jump into a village and just wipe people.
Exactly.
And go scot-free. It solves a lot of problems.
So this is it. Once we have the legal framework, everything else. Everything else is. See, leave everything else to the ordinary citizens.
Yes, they will sort it.
They will sort themselves out.
They will sort it. Okay.
So we align on this one. Okay.
We agree on this. We agree on this. I mean, country like Singapore. I like when I write. I like talking about Singapore a lot. Singapore is a country that does not have any natural resources.
Exactly.
Besides its wonderful location on the ocean.
On the trade routes. Yeah.
Yes, on the trade routes. You know. But they have a good legal and political framework. Nobody cares who you are.
See, they took the what's it called now? This English law.
Is it common law?
Common law.
Canon law. Yeah.
No, common law. That's it.
Common law.
Okay. They took the common law. That's all they did.
And investors are happy to come to Singapore.
So, see,
you can't steal money now and go scot-free in Singapore.
So that's what I said. Everything we need is there somewhere. Okay, and that's why I'm very concerned when young Africans are always happy. Because I will tell you, most of these things we need, even China, okay, their growth, which everybody's talking about. Why? They took the same common law and implemented in places that boomed.
And you know, if you read Chinese history, they used to suffer from a lot of corruption.
Yeah, they still do. They still do. Okay. But you don't hear it like that because of censorship.
Right. Right. And I guess maybe the
So,
punishment for corruption is
so
also
you
very high.
only hear it if it's in favor, is what the government, the Chinese government wants the world to know. Okay, you hear it.
Okay.
But if they don't want to hear it, you won't hear it.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
so tell my audience. See, I have young audience. Okay, so tell them, advise them how they can actually do their bit to help the progress of themselves and their community.
Well, I think first and foremost that nothing beats the journey of self-discovery. Nothing beats it. And the next thing I'm going to say about that is that there are lots of lies that we've learned from school, from the society, from our religious centers that we need to unlearn.
Okay.
And learn the truth by ourselves. That's the second thing. The third thing is that we also need to imbibe this habit of taking responsibility. Okay, we blame people a lot.
Yeah.
And I can use myself as an example. I used to have this conversation with people that I'm still far off from where I want to be. But even if I don't go beyond where I am now, I would tell myself that I am a success because nobody gave me a chance. Nobody. But it's because I had to take responsibilities for my life,
yeah,
for my future, and it meant that I had to do the hard work.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to give any excuses. I didn't want to take any excuses. So the road to self-discovery is very important. You must learn things yourself. You must unlearn. You must have this habit of asking questions.
Asking questions.
Asking questions. There's so much that we can do as a people, and there's also so much we can do as individuals.
Yeah.
There is no limit to what we can do.
Yeah.
There's really no limit to what we can do. And once you pick up this habit of self-discovery and taking responsibilities, it would naturally drive you to exploring.
Yeah.
Which most times means studying.
Yeah.
Reading for yourself. Engaging with people to exchange ideas. When you engage with people to exchange ideas, we've said a lot today. What part of the thing we've also said is that you do not need to reinvent the wheels all the time.
At all.
Life is too short. We can't learn everything. So you just look at what other people have done.
Yeah.
Take the format.
Yeah.
Go through the format, adjust it to suit your purpose.
That's it.
And then you insert. As you progress,
you make changes.
You keep adjusting until you get what you want. So
yeah.
I think that we need to cut off this illusion that enjoyment is about feeling high. That enjoyment is about feeling high. We also need to cut this illusion that civilization is about westernization. They're two different things. Westernization is just the Western version of civilization.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and so you have Africanization, for instance. African version of civilization, and you grow faster in your own natural state. You struggle when you're in another person's state. What I mean by that is when you're yourself, you tend to do better than when you are trying to mimic another person.
Yeah.
So I think that first and foremost, we need to take our debates seriously. We also need to do a lot of research. We also need to do a lot of self-discovery.
Yeah.
Everybody, we should just stop waiting for the government to do everything, because it is people like us that will eventually graduate.
Yeah, that's it.
To become public office holders, governors and presidents and whatever. So it is important that we continuously have this conversation in the public domain. Encourage people to study. Studying does not kill.
Please, I hope you guys heard that one. Studying does not kill.
It does not. It empowers you. And if you live that life of empowerment, of taking responsibility, you understand that you reduce the amount of stress.
Yeah.
When you take responsibility, in fact, I used to tell people that you reduce the number of times you pray.
Yeah.
If you even pray.
Yeah, because all those things you pray for, you can do virtually all of them.
You can do it. Once you start taking responsibility for your life, you reduce the amount of times you pray. I mean, somebody made a joke.
Guys, you see, he doesn't stop you from praying, but what he's saying, don't pray too much. Eh?
I mean,
there are things you can do by yourself. So
yes.
don't burden God with those things.
Do what you have to do. Do what you have to do, and then your life becomes easy.
Yeah,
that's just what I can advise.
Man, thanks. So my last question: what's your vision for Africa in 20-30 years' time?
Well, I like to see it in both ways. If I have a version of me that is called the House of Blunts. You can see I'm wearing a T-shirt.
Yes, yes.
Blunt evermore.
Blunt evermore.
Yes, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is that I currently run a consulting business, like I said, corp consulting, business development, and all of that. But let's focus on the Blunt evermore. This is just us trying to address issues the way they are, without pancaking it and and rubbing a lot of
oil
on issues. Yes, oil on issues. Because when we don't tell ourselves the truth, nobody's going to tell us.
Oh yes.
Everybody will just come and take advantage of our ignorance and just move on.
Oh, hey, see, my brother, you are speaking my language. Yeah? See, when you don't tell yourself the truth, people who know that truth will say, "Oh, so he's so ignorant." Okay, I will take advantage of that. That's it.
Let's take advantage.
That's it.
It's as simple as that. So I'm looking. I mean, there is an African Renaissance. Africans are actually waking up. Africans are actually beginning to ask questions. We must not allow that momentum to die.
Yeah.
There are lots of informations out there. If you don't like reading hard copy books, I have my own library. I mean, my books are stupendously many.
Me too. See, this room, I mean, I have at least 300 books in this place. On this table alone, I have over 20.
I mean, my library is there.
Yeah.
I have a bed. I have somebody who is in the library, so I couldn't do the interview there. But my house, like, I have budgets for research. So when I get my monthly stipends, there's a particular amount of money that I must take out to buy.
Wow.
A day without studying, I feel so
empty.
I feel ill.
Empty.
But like I was saying, there's an African Renaissance, and we need to keep shouting.
Yeah.
We need to keep shouting, because somebody who is on the corridor of power
will listen to you.
Yes, not on the seat yet.
Yes.
On that route, could pick some of our content.
Yeah.
Get the opportunity, do his own small change, leaves, another person comes in again, do his own little change, leaves, and gradually we are molding the Africa that will favor us. I used to tell people that part of why I do the House of Blunts, part of why I share this content is that when you educate people around you, your life becomes easier.
Easy. Oh, yeah.
When I first got married, the bulk of my work was to work with my wife, to think at least the way I see the world. And so immediately I was able to achieve that, the bulk of my responsibility, the bulk of my stress
Woo!
Went down.
You are lucky. You did it.
First 1 year, that's what I did. And so the same thing goes around to my siblings, to my friends.
Yeah.
We're always talking. I'm always asking questions. I'm always challenging their thought processes. On LinkedIn, I'm challenging people's thought processes.
Yeah, you do. You know?
So
I
at the
love
end
that.
of the day, yes, at the end of the day, people don't really make life so difficult for me.
Yeah.
Because the little information I have, I've put it out there, I've shared it, I've challenged people's thought process.
Yeah.
Things become easy. In fact, I can't really operate in a place of manipulation, chaos, and all of that, because I like things to be organized. I like things to flow. I like to pass the ball. Everybody, you have your responsibility. Do your work. I do my work. If I can help you, I help you. I check with you, you check with me. Things are flowing. Everybody is happy. And that's the Africa that I want to
envisage.
See. Yes, I envisage.
Yeah.
Where people take responsibility.
Yeah.
Where people can research. Where people can critically analyze and say, "Why are you bringing this to me? Okay, let's talk this over. Let's have a chat about this."
Yeah.
There's so much. I mean, I used to say this, and I can say it anywhere else. Bulk of the problem we have in Africa is a thinking problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Traffic that you have on the road is a thinking problem.
Oh yeah.
Economic crisis that we have, if you look at it, these things are not too difficult, just as some people just refuse to apply. They are thinking.
See, I don't know if you are my brother from another father, because you are saying all the things. I see. Since I came back from my health sojourn, have calmed down. I don't talk too much. Okay, I only ask a few questions. But even the few questions anger some people. Instead of them to answer the question or say, I haven't thought about that, they get angry. But anyway, you are saying almost everything I think about on a daily basis. All right. And thank you very much for being on the Think Big for Africa podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate the time out. Thank you for inviting me into this podcast. I'd like to say something. The last thing I'd like to say before I leave. I was trying to look for a man who chatted me up. I think he's one of these very wealthy men. And I put up one of those my contents. He challenged it. And I accepted his position, and I also added like an addendum to his position to say, yeah, okay. I agree with you that what you said has some truth.
Yeah.
And I also want you to look at this. Part of what we must unlearn is a belief that we know everything.
Oh, yeah.
Or that there is only one truth. There could be as many truths as possible to something.
Okay, that particular statement will be the focus of another discussion.
All right. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for me here, man. Bye-bye.